Welcome to your first Angular app. Now let's take a tour of folder structure to understand how everything is organized. For understanding the folder structure of an Angular application, let us first open our project in VS Code. There are two ways of doing that. First one is by simply right click and select Open with Code. This will open your project in VS Code. And another one is by navigating to the project folder location in CMD, which in our case is already my first app, and typing code space dot. This will also load your project on VS Code. When you create a new Angular project using the Angular CLI, it generates a well-organized folder structure to keep things clean and efficient. Let us try to understand them one by one. First one here is .angular folder. Keep in mind that this is not meant for the direct modification. It is auto-managed by our Angular CLI to boost the performance of your Angular application. It contains several configuration files and cache for Angular CLI's internal use only. Next one is .vs Code. This folder holds configuration and settings specifically for your Angular project workspace. Then we have Node Modules folder, which is again auto-managed by npm. This folder contains all the dependencies that we install via npm. For example, Bootstrap, Font Awesome, or any other dependency. Let's skip src folder for now, and we will come back to it, since the heart of your project lies in the src folder. This is where you will spend most of your time developing your Angular application. Next one in line is editor config, where we define our coding styles for the editor that we are using. It helps us in maintaining a consistent coding style within our team. For example, if you have this code type set as single, then everyone in your team using the same editor config will have to follow this rule of using single quote in their TS files. And all these set of rules mentioned in this config file must be followed by all the team members. Next is git ignore. Since we work on a source controlled repository in real time, this file helps us in preventing unnecessary files from being committed and pushed in our repository. Here we list the files and directories that should be ignored by Git. Like we have listed dist here, so anything inside this folder will be ignored from being committed, and same goes for all the files and folders mentioned in this file. The angular.json file. It is the configuration file for your Angular project. It defines various settings and configurations that govern how your Angular application is built, served, and tested. Let's explore the key aspects of this file. You see, we have projects node here that holds the configuration for the main project or any additional projects if we have any. Then inside our project node, we have defined configurations specific to this project, like project type, that defines the type of our project, that is application in our case. Then we have root that specifies the root directory of the project. And for the main project, it is automatically set to src, so it is left blank here. Similarly, we have source root to indicate the root directory for the source files. Then we have prefix. The prefix property specifies the prefix used for Angular components when they are generated using the Angular CLI. By default, the prefix is set to app. So when you create a new component using the CLI, it will be named with the prefix followed by the component name. For example, if you will generate a component named header, the CLI will create files like app header component ts, app header component css, etc. Architect. Architect is another very important node that allows you to customize how your Angular project is built and served. And it enables you to add additional build configuration for different environments such as production or staging. The Angular CLI uses these configuration to execute the specific tasks efficiently. You see, we have build. The build task is used to compile your Angular application source code and create a production ready bundle. We use ngbuild command to execute the build task. Then we have serve task. It is used to run your Angular applications locally for development purposes. We use ngserve for executing a serve task. Then the test task. It is used for running unit tests on your Angular application. And we use ngtest for executing test task. Then we have extract internationalization. By using the extract internationalization task, we make our application multilingual and more accessible to users worldwide, ensuring a seamless experience for users in various regions and languages. ng-extract-internationalization is the command for executing this task. Then there are several other nested configurations for our project like path to our output path, index, assets, styles, scripts, etc. During our course, we will be revisiting these whenever required, so do not worry if you are finding it overwhelming as of now. Next we have package and package.json files, which we will be covering in next part in detail to keep this video short and to the point. Now, README. The README is an important document as it's often the first thing people see when they visit a project's repository. It serves as a guide to help the users get started with the project and encourages community engagement and collaboration. Writing a clear and informative README is considered a best practice in development community. The purpose of README file is to help people understand what the project is about, how to use it, and how to contribute to it. Next is tsconfig.json. It tells the computer how to change your TypeScript code into regular JavaScript code that the browser can understand. It's like giving instructions to a translator to convert one language into another. Next is tsconfig.app.json. This is not a standard file in Angular projects, but it could be a customized version of tsconfig.json file for a specific part of your application. It's like having different sets of translation instructions for different sections in your app. tsconfig.spec.json, also not a standard file in your Angular projects, but it might be used to provide special instructions for running tests in your application. It's like having a separate translation instructions for testing your application. Now, let's come back to the SRC folder. The SRC folder in an Angular project is like a treasure chest that holds all the valuable items needed to build your web application. These files are like the building blocks of your website. Inside the SRC folder, you will find a structured set of subfolders that organize different parts of your application. Let's go through these one by one. App. App folder is a place holding all the components, services, templates, and styles that define your web application's functionality and appearance. You see, here we have a typical app component with its CSS, HTML, spec, and TS file. We will understand each file in detail in our upcoming sessions. And right now we will focus on app module, file that defines the main module. It tells Angular how to organize and set up your app, which components belong to which module, and which services are available for injection. The module encapsulates and configures the part of your application, providing a well-structured foundation for building complex and maintainable applications. Inside app.module.ts, you will find a special decorator called ngModule. This decorator is used to define the metadata for the module, such as component it declares, the services it provides, and other configuration options. In this ngModule decorator, you will see an imports property. This property allows you to import other modules that your application depends on. For example, you might import the browser's module to run your app in the browser, or HTTP client module to make the HTTP requests. The ngModule decorator also has a declarations property. Here you list all your components that belongs to this module. Components declared in this module can be used in the templates of the other components within the same module. Inside app.module.ts, you can find a provider's property in the ngModule decorator. This property is used to specify services that are available throughout the entire module. Services provided at the module level are shared and can be injected into components and other services within the module. The ngModule decorator has a bootstrap property. It specifies the main component that should be bootstrapped when the application starts. The bootstrap component is the starting point of your app's component tree. Apart from these properties, the ngModule decorator may have other configuration options such as imports, exports, schemas, and many more. Depending on the need of our application, we will be using and understanding these in our upcoming parts. Assets. You can place static assets like images, fonts, and other files here, which your app may be needing during the runtime. Next is favicon.ico. A favicon.ico file is a small icon file used to represent a website or a web application. It appears in the browser's address bar, bookmarks, tabs, and other places where the website's icon is displayed. The term favicon stands for favorite icon, as it was initially used in bookmark lists. Index.html. This is the main HTML file that acts as the entry point to your Angular application. It's the page the browser loads first. You can see here doc type, head, meta, link, body and other common HTML tags. But note that app root is something specific to Angular, which will be responsible for loading the components of Angular inside it, instead of writing a separate HTML file again and again. Main. The main.ts file is the entry point of your application. It's the first file that gets executed when your app runs. You can understand it as the front door to your Angular application. And this code you see here is responsible for bootstrapping your Angular application. But what is bootstrapping? Bootstrapping is the process of setting up your environment and getting everything ready for your app to run. It's like turning on the lights and preparing your home for a party. Platform Browser Dynamic is a function imported from Angular Platform Browser Dynamic that is calling its bootstrap module method and passing app module as an argument. This tells Angular to bootstrap the application with app module as the root module. Once the platform is ready and the root module is loaded, Angular starts executing your app's logic and rendering the components on the screen. It's like pressing the play button to start your favorite movie. Next is styles. You can put global styles and CSS files in this folder, which will apply to your entire application. Congratulations, you have just explored the folder structure of your first Angular application. It may seem overwhelming at first, but as you start developing, you will find that this organization makes building Angular applications a breeze. In our upcoming videos, we will explore these folders in more detail and start building exciting features for your app. Until then, remember to subscribe to Fulltechstack and hit the notification bell so you don't miss on any of our exciting Angular tutorials. Happy coding and let's keep exploring the power of Angular together. Thank you everyone.